Another week of parenting paused. So excited to welcome all the new listeners that have come over from the Happily Family Conference run by Jason and Cecilia Hilke. This is one of my favorite parenting conferences to speak at. And Jason and Cecilia are just amazing folks. They have a huge vision to touch every parent in the world. And I am so grateful to be part of supporting them in their mission and also sharing pure joy. It was a wonderful conversation about healthy separation, connecting with ourselves. And this week, let's dive deep into the most important relationship that we can possibly have with anyone, which is ourselves. Now, I really found it easier to try to have a relationship with my daughter than to turn back in and have that relationship with myself. And the reason I turned in and did that was because any way that I didn't love myself, of course I didn't love my daughter. So I would see a behavior in her that I judged inside myself. And of course I treated her and her behavior the way I treat myself. Even though I knew that I wanted to treat her different, there was no way possible until I was able to go back in and meet myself in those behaviors and to begin to offer kindness. Now remember, when you were born and you were a little baby, you didn't come in knowing you were mean or you were rude or you were aggressive or you were selfish. None of those things existed when you were a baby. You didn't know asking for your needs or going for your desires or trying to reach out and get support. You didn't know that it wasn't okay to do that in certain ways. And of course, when you needed certain things, when you were little, you would maybe not do it so great behaviorally, but you were always trying to get your needs met. And when you were met with an energy that told you that you were rude, you were mean, lazy, selfish, any of those ring true of what you heard? Then of course the relationship with those parts of yourself began to turn self-aggressive. And most likely to get the love that you needed, you did everything you could, which was so smart as a child, to make sure that you didn't exhibit those behaviors. But yet I found underneath all of those behaviors was something much greater. Was a need that I had, that I was trying my hardest to express as a child. So when those needs get pushed down, stuffed down, it doesn't mean that you don't have those needs. It just means that they show up in your parenting when your child expresses those needs and you find yourself judging and controlling and punishing and consequencing that behavior because it is so scary. I would say it's so intense to actually meet the energy behind the behavior. So in Pure Joy, that's what I created because that's what I had to do. I found out that I was trying so hard to control all of my external environment, which meant all my daughter's behavior, because I thought that that's what was going to bring me peace inside. If I could just get her to change, if I could get her to get rid of those behaviors of lazy and selfish, demanding, entitled, all the ways that I labeled her for just being a kid, for just asking for what she wanted, expressing her desires, they were so confrontive for me because the way she asked for them, of course, didn't feel appropriate because her behavior might have been, her saying, "Give me what I want." And it was so debilitating and hard. And it might be for you too. And yet what I found was when I would try to control her or tell her how she was making me feel, that everything just backfired because it didn't work. I might have been able to control her behavior with some fear, consequences, or punishment, but let me tell you, it always showed up somewhere else. Now, until I was willing to turn back in and say, okay, how is my relationship with me? How am I treating myself when I have big desires? How do I treat myself when I want something and it's really big inside? And yet I tell myself that I'm selfish, I'm rude, I'm mean, I want too much. those were the ways that I found that I was actually treating my big desires. So turning back in, beginning to honor and love myself, having that deep relationship with all the pieces, parts that I'd learned to put away, and I'm sure you did too, which was very smart as a child, so you could get that love. And yet now it is time to turn back in. So anything that you see in your child that drives you crazy or you want to control, ask yourself, where does that live inside of me? And when it comes up, how do I treat myself? Am I kind to my desires? Am I kind to my needs? Woo, this is a big one. And let me tell you, over the holidays, all these big needs and desires come pouring through our children. And if we're not willing to take the time and support ourselves, they will definitely come out on our kids. All right, loves, I hope you have a beautiful week this week, and I will see you next week with Parenting Paused. Thank you for listening to this episode of Parenting Paused. If you enjoyed the episode, do me a favor and share it with your mama friends. You can also leave a review wherever you listen, which will support getting the Pure Joy message out. Come on over to the Pure Joy Parenting Practice Facebook page or join me on Instagram to hear more. And don't forget to download your free copy of the Safe Seat course on the Pure Joy website. And while there, check out the offerings page to go deeper in the Pure Joy work.